In this majestic city, if the sides of the buildings could speak, you get the feeling that they would have countless stories to tell. It was a modern-day city that dovetailed with an old ancient look that was really second to none as far as beauty goes. There was a familiar comfort in the buzz of busyness that accompanied everyone just trying to get all their errands done with the daylight that they had. My wife, 3 children, and I were scaling the city, enjoying all the sorts and sights that it had to offer. We came to the conclusion that we wanted to get a bite to eat, and we came across a bar and grill, you know, the pub type, that usually ended up having that burger that was something to go home and brag to your friends about. We wasted no time accepting the offer from the smiling hostess, and as she began to walk us back, I noticed that it was lit only by candle, and it had some of the best woodwork I'd ever seen. As she took us back, you couldn't help but notice the heavy burden that the people had. And it only made what already seemed a long walk seem that much longer. By the time we ended our long journey, we ended up sitting at the second table from the very end, and it got darker the deeper that we went. We were looking at the menus, and I looked up only to make eye contact with a man who had demon bones protruding out of his face and his eyes turned black. And then another. And before I knew it, besides my wife and kids, everyone. So I looked over at my wife and I said, we need to put our menus down and get out of here. She didn't know why, but she didn't waste any time listening. On our exit out, even though they looked like they wanted to kill us, no harm came to us. And once we got out there, I just knew it. They were all Christians, with a magnetic pole north, and they weren't looking right, they weren't looking left, just steadfast north. They had red sleeveless shirts that said Team Jesus on, which I didn't have. But I noticed a pastor of mine from years back, whom I love and respect to this day, he had a black t-shirt on, which I thought was a little different, but I didn't ask any questions. And then all of a sudden, I have my dresser there, right there on the sidewalk. So I went through it frantically, only to find a black t-shirt, which was odd, but I took it.
Ready for the big song. Here we go.
You're at the top of your games. Where do you go from the top? You go over the top.
Powerful stuff.
The Kobe system is about adaptation, attacking fast and strong. Any questions?
What if you're really successful?
He makes a good point. You're welcome.
You know, I am misunderstood a lot at times. My music, my image, people have their whole thing about me, whether it be me being a devil worshiper or whatever. Besides them reading into my hand over my eye on my album cover.
Why is your hand over your eye on your album?
Because I'm a devil worshiper. What are you talking about?
Musketeers. We've got Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake.
These were all poor little children that were brainwashed together in a Disney program.
What they will do is use these people in high-profile rituals.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. There's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
And it all happens as she's starring as a kind of villain in the tabloid accounts of supposed jealous arguments and then a horrible breakup with her self-proclaimed first love, Justin Timberlake.
You've had a rough year. You've had a year that would test a lot of people. Illness in the family. A breakup. This spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew, strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird time.
Buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's up. I appreciate it. What I'm going to speak on is the thing that's on my mind the most. You know what I'm saying? The thing that we all got to deal with every day, but don't really know. The industry. The industry. Man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent. It's about playing the game. The industry. Real niggas is dying to get in. The industry, just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that. But I'm going just like this and talk with the bat. The industry, stay in the dirt, play in the dirt, test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry. So I do what the fuck I want because nobody can finish me. The industry, wanted, dead or alive, new artists to sell their souls in the way they survive. The industry don't give a fuck about you, but the industry couldn't make a dime without you. The industry, I'm sick of this industry shit. The industry playing them like a industry bitch. They try to finish me quick, but I am long, so I stand strong. Fuck a beat. Listen to the words in the damn song. I only know how to speak the truth, you know what I'm saying? So I got a little short joint I'm gonna hit you with, you know what I'm saying? And it basically reflects on my relationship with the industry. This is what it is. Often, my words fall on deaf ears. Motherfuckers be listening, but don't hear. Talking to a nigga, he be sitting right here. I be like, where you going? Nigga be like, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for, giving me the opportunity to be heard, in a positive light. Yeah. Or just in a fair light. I first came to Arizona, man, and I remember one day coming from the studio at 6 o'clock in the morning and pulling over on the highway. We like 4 cars, just to watch the sunrise. And it was at that point that I fell in love with Arizona. I said, you know what, this has to be God's country. Because I'd never seen anything as beautiful as that sunrise. Then I met the devil in God's country. It's not so much who, it's what, what happens and the things that the devil does. It's not so much a person, even though he acts through people. You can't call one person the devil.
Joe Arpaio?
You can't call any one person the devil. You can't do that because no one person has enough power to be the devil. And it's through all these hardships that I realized that, you know what? This is God's country because I met the devil here. Because if I hadn't met the devil here, I wouldn't realize I was strong enough to overcome the obstacles that the devil would place in my path. And it's by overcoming these obstacles that I realized that this is God's country. Because he helped me get over these obstacles. He helped me get over these hurdles.
Okay, so but when you're done here,
yeah,
you're out of here.
I'm not looking back.
You're not coming back?
No, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back for a show. I'm not coming back for a visit. I'm not even driving through the states. If I'm in a plane and they're gonna fly over it, I'm gonna go around, okay? I deserve the same grace, whether I know you or not. I pray for my friends, family, loved ones, and as well as my enemies every night, because we're all God's children. We're all God's children, and we all deserve the same grace.
I think people are curious how a guy, you've sold how many records?
28 million.
And made millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
How did you end up in here?
I think everyone who's watching knows how I ended up in here.
I don't know if they do.
I'm pretty sure they do. Anytime you get it, I'm pretty sure they do. There's
bringing entertainment to thousands of people. Through its magic, we are able to enjoy a combination of the radio, motion pictures, and the stage, right in the comfort of our own homes, simply by pushing a button and turning a dial. These cells with their electrical charges are scanned by a stream of electrons, completing 30 pictures a second. Compare that crude picture with these of today, and you can judge for yourself how far along the road to perfection television has traveled.
Most people still today think that all entertainment to do with movies, drama, is therefore nothing more than their entertainment. It never ever was that case.
Of course, television can't perform such miracles as this, yet. But perhaps there's no harm wishing that it could.
The greatest social messages are promoted through movies and drama, high drama, through the fixation of emotive sequences, emotional sequences, not logical, factual sequences, but pushing points across in an emotional way which register and fix in the mind. So emotional content is very, very important rather than going through an actual discussion or an argument using logic and facts. There's no debates. And when you're being downloaded through fiction, your guard is down, the sensor part of your brain is not in action. It isn't saying, yes, I agree with this, I disagree with that, as you would in a debate or a lecture. You're actually in an alpha state, being completely downloaded with new ideas.
Throughout history, social engineers have refined techniques designed to control large populations.
About 100 years ago, this big organization with many branches, they wanted to rule the world basically using Britain as a nucleus of a system, an embryo, which also was going to be joined with the US under the Anglo-American establishment, wrote about the kind of culture and the changes of culture over a 100-year period that they would actually design, implement, and bring in. And H.G. Wells talked about it too. He talked about arenas. He says arenas could be put up across the world for sports, for instance. Now at that time, sports was something that children, school children were into. Adults became adults and got onto adult things. So it was unimaginable at the time that people could actually believe that there was even a need for adult sports and entertainment, never mind having arenas built across the world. But he said we can do this and foist basically a sports culture for the males. Using a tribal system, we're all tribal to an extent. That's why we even bother to vote for a tribal leader. This is well understood. That's why we're supplied with these leaders. And because the average man was to become more disengaged from his own destiny as the expert class arose, it was decided that the males would get their outlet basically, gradually becoming helpless as males through sports. Therefore they'd have a tribal team they could identify with, they could cheer them on as though they were winning. In their own personal lives, they were getting nowhere. They were getting disenfranchised in a sense as experts took over decision-making for them in all kinds of fields. So this was psychology at use, planned before they even implemented the sports. When radio came along, of course, they used that to the maximum. Sports for the men, soaps basically for the women, and then in came television, as I say, with its alpha state, its hypnotic state. And sure enough, around the 1960s, really, 50s and 60s, it took off. It really, really took off. And men became glued on Saturday nights to the sports shows. A culture industry, which is called by its own the culture industry. The Soviet Union had a department called the culture industry. Their actors and directors were called the cultural leaders, because they would, like a computer, people are like computers, all you have to do is keep giving them new updates every so often, and you can change an entire country or a nation or a block of nations who are all getting the same uploads, upgrades at the same time along certain paths. Today we call it political correctness. Most people want to belong to their peer group. They want to be the same as everyone else when it comes to opinions. In fact, they judge their own personal sanity by bouncing ideas off their neighbors and friends who will answer back and agree on these same topics in kind. It doesn't matter if the topic of what you're given are facts or utter nonsense, as long as everyone agrees at the same time. You'll say, well, I'm sane, and your friends will all agree because they've had the same information given to them.
But they've been programmed, and I'm sad because I know that it's hard for people like that to take an interest, a serious interest in world affairs, to take a serious interest in what their elected officials are doing. And they're not going to be really inclined to study or discover the deception that's being used against them. And so I'm sad because I see all of that in a flash in my mind as being an indication of how easy it is for the masses to be manipulated.
If it's on TV and a famous face says something, then it must be true. He doesn't have to show you facts or anything else. You've been brought up with these faces. That's why they keep these guys on television into their 70s and 80s. You've grown up with this father figure who's on television every night at 6 o'clock, in your house, in your room, staring right at you, and he's a father figure. Would he tell you a lie? So you naturally never suspect him. And this same man will lead you through new topics. He'll introduce experts on the topics. They'll have a little summary at the end of every talk, and you are now left with the conclusion that's presented to you. You don't arrive at it, it's given to you, and it's good enough for you. We're programmed today perfectly, just like machines. We tie this in with the Brzezinski. Brzezinski said in 2 Ages. Now this guy was way up with the NSA. He's a master geopolitician. He admits he works in 20, 50-year periods to do with geopolitics in other countries. But he said himself, the public will shortly be unable to think or reason for themselves. He was meaning by the form of information that was given to them, the type, the formulas that were in use then in the 1970s. He says, eventually they'll be unable to think or reason for themselves. And eventually, he said, they will expect the media to do all their thinking and reasoning for them. Well, that's happened today. That's why people today can't think outside of the programming from television. We're gullible, but we're also willingly gullible. We want a human being, a big daddy, to come along and make everything right for us. And as long as we believe that, we'll always basically get shafted. Hollywood has used. Obama is that man today.
The globalists, who know that Obama is going to promote their plan, want to make him such a superhero that nobody will question what he's doing. They'll be so preoccupied with who he is, or where he is, or what he's saying, or what he's wearing, or something like that. The idea of making him into a celebrity is very valuable because that way people are less inclined to ask, what is he doing? So that's very useful to these people.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We shall overcome. Yes, we can. We will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So in performing the research for these videos and putting them together, you come across these where they say, when Obama says, yes, we can, that if it's played backwards, he says, thank you, Satan. Well, I would never put anything like that in one of my videos because I didn't know if that was real or not. You know, you see it in Hollywood films such as heavy metal bands playing backwards, you know, but it's always part of a fictional story or something. But anyway, went ahead and got an application that you can actually play your voice backward. And lo and behold, here we go. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. That's clear as a bell, man.
I'm laying down alone. A showdown in the Northland. Just a whiff of corruption. ascension. Let's show the silver lining. Sweet blood on the razor. Is it poetry or politics? Forget about the nightmare. Make it a dream that changes everything. I'm searching for the light to kill my sense of fear, to break through darkened nights and take me through the year. No, you don't understand. Listen. Poetry or politics? Forget about the nightmare and make a dream that changes everything.
Thank you.
I refuse to look at this as if I were being the bearer of bad news. Because they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and that they loved not their life unto the death.
what we've been doing with the egg and the rebirth. It's meant to signify an artistic statement of birthing a new race, and it's a race with no prejudice, a race within the race of humanity that bears no prejudiced against anyone. So that's really the statement.
A race within the race.
That is reportedly Lady Gaga inside that interesting shell-like sculpture.
And what we've been doing with the egg and the rebirth, it's meant to signify an artistic statement of birthing a new race, a race within the race of humanity.
At the End of the World, Lynx 2012, the final edition.
Get on the Ark! Everyone on the Ark now!
I think we should get on the Ark.
I agree. I think we should get on the Ark also.
I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm going home. Ladies first, move!
To do the things that built the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam and unleashed all the potential in this country.
mean, the Super Bowl is kind of like the Holy of Holies in America, right? So, like, here I am. I'm going to come into the halfway between, like, the church experience, and I'm going to have to deliver a sermon. Church experience, and I'm going to have to deliver a sermon.
This is my world! My world! You must be able to see it, Mr. Anderson. You must know it by now. You can't win. It's pointless to keep fighting.
This is the construct. It's our loading program.
I should never miss a chance to reintroduce myself to the American people. So tonight, this is how I'd like to begin. My name is Barack Obama. My mother was born in Kansas. My father was born in Kenya. And I was born, of course, in Hawaii. The problem is that, I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed. Execute laws that are passed. Execute laws that are passed.